Everybody, welcome back to another episode of FSi DFS Fantasy Baseball Picks. I'm your host, Mega Ruler 31. Got a special Saturday edition for you. Don't always get a chance to do videos on Saturday, but with no NASCAR, I think we're able to fire one up here. Last night went pretty well. I did pretty well. Cash lineup was good. I had some Snell. I also had, unfortunately, too much of in some lineups of the Philadelphia pitcher. I thought for the Phillips, I thought he'd do better, but he just got shelled. And Seattle's actually hitting pretty well recently, so a lot of good things, and also I did mention that Miguel Vargas is like my favorite punt outfielder, probably going forward here. He was great talent, just buried in the Dodgers bunch, just like some of those Baltimore guys were before they got traded, and now he's on a team. He's going to get everyday playing time. He's going to be leading off, and I see some good things happening there, even though he's in Chicago. But they also get the wind out at times too. And he had a home run last night. He was 1 for 4, but hey, the home run definitely helped. So let's get into this slate and see what we got. I know I did say on yesterday's video that I was going to potentially do a video for the early slate. It's only a 3-gamer. It looks like the Washington game's probably going to get rained out. So it's going to be Yankees, Blue Jays, and then Cubs. And I figure who they're playing in Wrigley, but the wind's blowing in Wrigley. So I'd probably take the pitchers there. Um, and then and probably the bats from the Yankees and the Toronto game if you want to play that slate. So, first game on the night slate, no weather issues, which is great. We have Boston and Texas. We have Tanner Houck, and I've seen Corey Bradford and some of them. That's why he's yellow on the screen, and Dane Dunning and others. So, Houck potentially might consider in the medium range, like it, don't love it. And then Bradford, if he's there, yes, because he could probably get 14 to 16 DK points, and his price point, which is almost 1,000 less than Houck. I'll take it. Red Sox definitely struggle against left-handed pitching more than right-handed pitching, but if it's Dane Dunning, then I'd probably going to put him on the fade list, as you can see on the screen. So I think the total of this game is way too low. It's 3.75 on both sides. So with these two offenses, I could definitely put up more than that. If you're betting, I would definitely bet the over on either team and the total of the game if you can do like same way. I don't know if you can parlay those together or take them as separate bets, but I like the over everything around here. So bat wise, I think Boston is definitely probably, if they're against the righty, going to be my second favorite GPP stack underneath Houston there. So back to the lefties there. So give me Duran, Devers. Last night I had I took Duran, Devers. I took the top of the order left-handed batters. Hamilton was out of the lineup, and then Abreu was like down. I didn't take him. He's the one that had the home run, so I kind of missed that. But at least Devers came through with one. So I'm going to focus on the lefties there. If it is Bradford, then of course we're going to probably look at Reef Snyder. Wong continues to hit pretty well. O'Neill's been really good against left-handed batting, but Jensen is now on the team too, so it'd be interesting too to see. You probably just DH Wong. I don't think he's going to lose any playing time. And then Rafael, don't sleep on him at the bottom lineup. He's a great wraparound option for you. Texas side of things, like continue to, they're actually pretty cheap besides Corey Seager, who had another home run. He's been heating up pretty much, but Smith, Seager, he usually skips Semien. He hasn't been hitting as well recently. Langford, Garcia hasn't been at that. So I don't know if I could go like full Texas stack here until they all start heating up. But Smith, Seager, and Langford definitely are three that I'd look for in that one. White Sox and Twins, Crochet and Bailey Ober, which looks like a great pitching matchup here. But the problem is they're starting to limit Crochet's innings. So the Twins are not horrible strikeout rate. Like they have 21% up on the board there, but it's kind of hard to look at those numbers there because of with the trade deadline. New teams have like different makeups. So it's the last 14 days, but I don't feel it's like super accurate and won't be for probably about a week or so till we get some new data with the new teams and their batting orders now with all the trades and people moving around. But I really don't feel there's a ton of K upside with the Twins. And Crochet might be limited, so I like them, don't love them here. just proceed with caution there because he might only go like 70, 75 pitches. He might be pitching a no-hitter and they decide to pull him because they do that sometimes with young arms. Over on the other side, I think is a great matchup here. Again, I love Vargas, but the rest of the team, take it or leave it. I mean, Sheets and Roberts are still decent there, but the rest of the team is probably the worst in baseball. So Ober is definitely a solid SP2 pick here, or an SP1 if you want to pay down for pitching today. Bat wise, White Sox would just be a leverage stack, in Minnesota I think continues to stay in the cheap range. I don't see Royce Lewis in the projected lineup in some places, but I do see him in others. I didn't see he got injured, so I just have to keep an eye on that. That'd definitely make it a lot cheaper, but Castro probably leading off. Miranda, Jeffers should be in the lineup there. Carlos Santana is okay. Margot might lead off too, so I have to see with that. But you just have to like some of the guys you might just have to watch because sometimes they get pinch hit for. If you see like Jeffers and Vasquez in the lineup, then that's great because you know that they're probably both going to play because they're both the catchers, and you really don't have anybody to pinch hit for them. So next up, we have Tampa Bay and Houston's Littell and Blanco. Littell and Fling, I feel like are kind of the same guy. They're $100 apart. Both of them in bad matchups, and if you need them in the cheap range, that's fine. But I'd rather take some of this chance on the 6K guys if I get burnt than these guys. I know Houston hasn't been cooking recently, but still the potential's there. Blanco on the other side, he's been up and down throughout the season. Tampa Bay, again with some of the new players like Morel have been, and some of the new opportunities for some of the guys to have been able to get more playing time. They've been a little bit better, but still, I don't think that they're like this dominant offense that's out there. Their K rate starting to creep up there, almost like 24%. So I think Blanco can have a solid game here. So I think he's definitely in play. And I don't think he'll have like as much ownership if you look at some of the other names in his price range. So Blanco, yes. Littell, no. Tampa Bay bats, I think will be leveraged because Blanco, I think, will have some ownership. But I have been just playing a random Tampa Bay stack just because I kind of like the new guys out there. And I didn't realize, like, thought that they're kind of sitting back and they don't really have a shot at the AL East, but they have been within 5 games of 500 all season long. And they've been the closest team to having the most consistency. So are they able to put it together and maybe squeeze their way in the playoffs? I think there's too many good teams in front of them for that. But I think they'll still have a solid finish, and they've got a lot of great prospects in some of the trades. So I think the Tampa Bay is like reloading, and watch out. You'll be hearing again from them in the next couple of years. Houston on the other side, again, they're not super expensive either now with just 2 5K guys with Alvarez and Altuve. Everybody else is in the 4K range. So I usually stick to the top 5 there. Myers, I like sometimes if he's against a lefty. Cabbage has some potential too. You can do some wraparound stuff. Pedro Leon is going to get some look at. They're going to kick the tires on him. And he's only 2K. So if you're doing a punt wraparound stack, if you want to see kick the tires on him also, I can't really hurt you too much there for a punt. Baltimore and Cleveland, Eflin and Cantillo. Eflin coming over here. He did okay in his first start, but Cleveland put up some runs recently. I like some of the moves that they made here, and this team's starting to put together and actually show some power. So, and Baltimore just hasn't put up the run support recently. They've cooled off a lot too. So we'll have to see what's going on there. Cantillo on the other side, I mean, his Baltimore, I just really don't feel that I can play him. Like he's had some okay games, but he really isn't getting more than 4 or 5 innings there. And you're talking like single digit DK points. Usually, like if he hits like 10, we're gonna celebrate. So even if he's 5'8" and the cheapest pitcher on the board, I get it if you're mass multi entering with Baltimore kind of being down recently and the wind blowing in a little bit in the park. But I think I'm not going to be really playing him. I think there's enough value in the bats that you don't need to go this low in pitching. Baltimore, I think, is going to be probably one of the top stocks out there just with their run total. And Gunnar Henderson is always unwell. Santander should be out there. Against the lefty, Mountcastle is going to be in play. Jimenez will probably get the start. I just worry we'll have to see like he and Slater, are they going to get pinch hit for later on? Mayo is still dirt cheap getting called up, and he's got some decent power. Third base, 2K guy there. And then, don't sleep with the guys at the bottom of the lineup. Like Krauser can be okay, especially if they bring in a righty later in the game. And Urias and McCann have had some flashes in the pans against left-handed hitting. So I think you can consider all those. But McCann, Rushman might sneak his way back into the lineup as a pinch hitter, or if Jimenez is DHing, maybe Rushman takes over there if they bring in the righty. So I don't know how Baltimore is going to play out, so I think it's more of a potentially a GPP, even though I have them in top stacks, but I will probably play at least one stack of them. Cleveland, I like them here, 2 against Eflin, Aquan, J-Rod, Ram, Naylor. I think we're definitely going to be some decent guys at the top of the lineup. I don't like playing the bottom of the lineup. Maybe Bo Naylor the catcher as a wraparound stack. San Francisco and Cincinnati, Harrison and Green. Harrison is not going to no hit Cincinnati here. I think they'll definitely get some hits. 84 degrees, wind blowing out, hitting should be decent, and Harrison hasn't been as good, even though it's another lefty against Cincinnati. So I think you got to consider him. I left him in the medium player pool. Well, I have a couple shares of him just in case Cincinnati it's in their heads, and after getting no hits, yes, I'll try it. Green on the other side, I think he's solid here. Even so, San Francisco has been hitting well, differently, decently. Green is definitely a good strikeout pitcher. I mean, there's kind of neutral with strikeouts, but I think Green can manufacture some, and I think you have a solid game here. That wise, I think you got to consider San Francisco's leverage stack, but I'll still play them. Wade will probably lead off again, pinch hit risk if they bring a lefty in later in the game. Ramos, Bailey, Chapman or Sala Conforto having a down year. I just expected more of him. Fitzgerald will probably drop in the lineup, but still play and can play effectively. Strumsky again is another one that's disappointed me this season. And then Wisely will probably sneak in at second base or shortstop. So you can do a wraparound stick with him, and he's pretty cheap. But again, pinch hit risks all around besides usually Ramos, Bailey, Chapman, and Fitzgerald. On the red side, you look at the righties here: India, Cruz, Steer. France is super cheap. Can he resurrect his career after Seattle kind of gave up on him? And Stevenson catchers and Candelario is cooled off a bit, but it's still definitely in play here. So any of the top 6 I like. Marte expected more after like the PED thing. He was like on fire in spring training. I thought he was going to be great, but then he got suspended for the first half of the season and just really hasn't picked it up. I think just keep an eye on him because he does have the potential for it. If Stuart Fairchild leads off at 2-8, I don't mind that either, but I think India has really solidified himself to have that position right now. Okay, Marlins and Braves. Tyler, I see Kyle Tyler and Grant Holmes. Not really interested in either one of these. Like Holmes had a good game last time out. He finally got more than like 3 innings, but he has just been not getting a lot of BK points. And the Marlins have been hitting pretty well. So I think you gotta maybe consider him, but I don't think I'm really going to play a ton of Holmes, especially at 7-7. I just don't think he goes deep enough in the games. He finally got up to like 70 pitches. I think they're projecting him for like 77 to 80. So I get it. The Braves have a huge total at 5.56, so he should have the win upside. On FanDuel, I don't know if he goes far enough to get the quality start. So I put him up there just because Harrison in the Great American Small Park, I don't really trust against the Reds team that's probably going to put it together and actually get some hits. Hulk against a Texas team that has a lot of potential. The Mets have been good. So in the range behind, there's a huge gap between he and Ober. But I think that it's enough that I don't think I need to play him. But if you're mass multi entering, okay, take a shot. Tyler's a no. Marlins, I will be playing. They have been hitting the top of this order. Xavier Edwards has been good. Berger has been hitting with power. Bryant had a home run last night. Stowers, loved him when he was on Baltimore. Just didn't get the playing time. He's got a lot of talent. He's got some speed. Definitely like him there in the 5 hole. Rivera even, is one I believe it came over from Arizona, was it? But he's a highly recruited player that should and prospect that with everyday playing time should start to put things together too. And he's only 2-1. So Marlins have a lot of potential there for cheap fill-ins. The Braves, I like it, but I just don't love it. Soler, Riley, and Ozuna are all righties against Tyler. The Miami bullpen hasn't been horrible recently, and Olson has been ice cold, so I'm not playing him. They're really not lefties here to do a lot of damage with the splits advantage. So I think the Braves are going to be a top stack just because they have a 5.56 total, it's 85 degrees, and the wind's blowing out slightly. But I don't think the Marlins are that bad that they're actually going to destroy them. And the Braves, every time I've stocked them recently, I can't get them right. And they only score like last night they had 5 runs, and it really was a hard effort to get to those five. It wasn't like it came easy to them early in the game. So I think they're going to be more of a grinded out team until they get some of their injured players back. But I just don't think this is the powerful Braves lineup of the last couple of years. Colorado and San Diego. Tanner Gordon and Martin Perez. Tanner Gordon is a no for me. I think San Diego might actually be my favorite bats on the slate. Sorry about that. Perez on the other side, he's been bad this season, but against this Rocky team, I think he's definitely got some potential. So I think in the mid range, if I'm taking a shot on a punt, it's going to be Perez at 6.2K. Bat wise, Colorado's just going to be a leverage stack. And like I said, San Diego is going to be my top stack here. Areza and Cronenworth, I think, is the same player. They're the same price. They've had single digits. The consistency, they don't get zeros, but they don't get like high scores. So sad if you want the profile Machado, Xavier probably going to take, and Higgy I don't mind as a wraparound catcher, even though Gordon's a righty. He's a decent talent there. So Dodgers and Athletics, Flaherty and Spence. Love Flaherty, top pitcher on the slate here. Came over from the Tigers, having a decent season and should dominate the A's. Spence has had some okay outings, and I know the Dodgers are down without Freddie Freeman in the lineup, and thoughts and prayers to him with his son with a serious medical condition. I think he's only 3 years old and is like paralyzed and was on a ventilator, but he's getting better. So just a horrible story, but hopefully the kid can pull through and the doctors will be able to help him. And Freddie can get back to playing baseball at some time soon, but good for him taking time off to be with his family when they need him. And for the Dodgers, they're like super cheap other than Otani and Smith there. Everybody else is like 3 and 4K, so they're very stackable now. And on the athletic side, definitely just a contrarian one. Butler as a one-off, I'm fine with. Rooker has been hot, but I don't know if I want to pay 5-7 against Flaherty. So, but they could make a great contrarian stack. Mets and Angels, Peterson and Soriano. I like both these pitchers in their respective ranges. Peterson against the Angels, but I like the Angels like against left-handed hitting or pitching. And Soriano has had his struggles, and the Mets are better against left-handed pitching and right-handed pitching. But the Mets, 5 runs they put up yesterday, their total's almost 5. I think I can see that. So we'll have to see which Soriano we get. He's in play, but Ober's definitely had a medium class, and then he's right there with like the other questionable pieces. Bat wise, Mets are definitely up there as one of my top stacks. And then the Angels, I play them every single day, but I love them even more today just because they're against the lefties. So Refero Ohopi has had home runs, I think 2 in the last 3 games. Pilar has power against lefty. Ward, Neto, Adele. So definitely some decent plays there. Finally, Philly and the Mariners. Philly's going to have an opener, then Allard's going to come in. Not interested in any of those. Bryce Miller, I think I'm very interested in. Philly has just been ice cold recently, especially Harper. They're just not hitting, even though they've gotten some of the guys back, but the potential is always there. Miller, I think, solidly in play for a GPP. Bet wise, Philly, I mean, maybe continue to take some shots on them in the dollar because they eventually have to put things together and figure it out. I think. I think they've had a better shot at home than it's in Seattle and in more of a pitcher's park. And Miller's a decent pitcher for them, and the bullpen hasn't been horrible either. So, and Seattle bats continue to put up runs, so love them. They're super cheap besides the Rosarena. And Riley at 4.9 and 4.7. Everybody else in the 3K range. So you're so easy to stack. So let's look at some builds to get you on your way for your Saturday. That's the wrong direction. So Flaherty and Ober, I'm paying up for pitching. That's where I want to go here. And then I'm going to take Mariners and I'm going to take San Diego. So give me Garver. If you can get up to Riley, I respect that. First and second base, I'll let you decide if you want to go with like the profile with the Xavier with Areza, or if you want to take cheaper pieces like Turner and Polanco from Seattle. Machado, Moore, Profar, and Robles are, or I think it's a profile for first base on Cronus worth. Uh, there, and then I'll let you figure out if you want to go like cheap with hangers, if you want to take another San Diego bat there, that's fine. Then for GPP, give me Green and Miller as my pitchers, and then give me the Dodgers, who are really cheap. Smith, Lux, and Otani up top there, and then Berger and Edwards from the Marlins, and then there's cheap enough Marlins and Dodgers to fill in the rest of it. So that's what I got for you on this Saturday. If you have any questions, put them in the chat below. Hit me at Megaro31 on Twitter or X. If you want more information on FSi DFS, you can go to the description of the video, and the link to our pricing page is there. And if these videos help us back, like, subscribe to our channel, and share with friends. So we'll be off tomorrow. McKinley or I will be back on Monday for the breakdown. So hope you have a great weekend. Hope you end up with some green screens, and I'll see you next time.